it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Texas flag pledge. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Our campus mission. Develop young men into impactful leaders through the development of their intellectual, moral, physical, social, and emotional skills for the global society of tomorrow. Our campus vision, the school of today for tomorrow's leaders. Motto, believe, achieve, succeed. Our core beliefs, campus core, engagement, encouragement, exposure, environment, excellence. Student core, academia, brotherhood, character, perseverance, service. Our campus creed, we are the Barack Obama Male Leadership Academy. We believe in the transformative powers of knowledge and wisdom. We believe that success is brought about by perseverance, not chance. We know our actions are governed by strength of character rather than whims of emotion. We resist excuses, holding ourselves accountable for our actions. We are successful through honesty, humility, and the pursuit of intellectual excellence. We are loyal to our family. We are a brother's keeper. We are committed to our community. We are servants of mankind. We have the audacity to hope. We have the audacity to succeed. We are the Barack Obama Male Leadership Academy. And now for our school song.
We are the brothers of BOMLA with the goal of becoming best in the USA. We believe perseverance, not chance, is a way to achieve. Our actions are governed by character, honesty, humility. Excuses don't exist. We are loyal to our family, committed to our community, servants of mankind and humanity. We have the audacity to hope and succeed. We are the brothers of Barack Obama, Male Leadership Academy. We have the audacity to hope and succeed. We have the audacity to believe, achieve, succeed. We are the brothers of Barack Obama, Male Leadership Academy. Believe, achieve, succeed.
And now for a moment of silence. All right, you all, you may be seated. So thank you again for joining us this Tuesday. And we're going to continue to focus on line 11 for the month of February from our creed. We have the audacity to hope. I was in my office last week speaking with the brother, 11th grade brother, about, hey, what are your plans? He's having some problems with discipline, behavior. I said, so, what are your plans after leaving here? What college are you going to go to? What are your aspirations? What are your hopes? So I even reflected a little bit more on that and said that, think about your parents. Your parents spend so much money, and time and emotion on you all, and they pour it into you all because they have the audacity to hope that you can do something better than what they've done. So when you're making these choices, think about all of the time and investment that your parents put into you, because that's why you're here. All right, so we're going to pause right now. I know normally we continue and we go with the announcements, but we have a guest speaker. It is Mr. Chris Lee, and he's on a very tight schedule. So I wanted to stop right here, and then after he speaks, after he shares with us, then we'll be able to continue with our normal license. So, Mr. Lee.
Hey, Rashad.
Hey, how you doing? How you doing, Chris?
All right, I should call you Mr. Jackson.
You can call me Chris. That's fine. Me and Chris have known each other since we were, probably like 5 years old. We went to elementary school together, and so we went to St. Mark's from the first grade to the seventh grade together. And we've managed to stay in touch, and I'm really happy you've been able to, share a little bit with us, Chris. So it's all you, whatever format you'd like to proceed with this fall.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me today, Rashad. And as Rashad said, I'm Chris Lee. I'm zooming in from New York today, and like I said, this is special for me because Rashad and I have known each other, like he says, since we were 5, 6 years old in first grade. And so I'll tell you one thing: you're lucky to have such an amazing principal here at Obama Leadership Academy. And so I'm gonna probably give you a little bit of advice, and then we'll try to open up for questions. I've got some time today. So Rashad asked me to come and talk to you guys about leadership. I'll give you a little bit of my background, and then, like I said, we'll talk about some advice, some of the things I've learned the last 25 years. Rashad and I are getting old now, so we're getting hopefully getting wiser. But and then hopefully we'll have some time for some questions. But I grew up in Dallas, like Rashad said. My parents actually met up here in New York. They were a doctor and nurse at Harlem Hospital, and my brother and I were actually born in Tampa. And then we moved to Dallas in 1980 when I was 2. And so my dad was a doctor at UT Southwestern and taught medical school. And I see you guys have some doctors coming in later this month on the syllabus. But he actually just retired from Howard University a couple years ago at 81 years old. He's still doing his thing. And listen, he grew up with his grandparents. He's the first person in his family to go to college. My mom was a nurse. She actually grew up in the deep South in Brunswick, Georgia, which some of you may know where that is. And my grandparents on that side of the family, they picked cotton and really worked in the fields. And I think my grandfather went to 3rd grade education. I think my grandmother got an 8th grade education. And but one of the things that my parents picked up from both of my grandparents and great grandparents, really hard work and the value of an education. And you guys are have an opportunity to get a great education here. And so my brother and I learned a lot of that. And my parents taught me you have to work hard. Education really matters. No one can ever take that from you. And as a Black or brown man, you're going to have to work harder. You're going to have to make sometimes fewer mistakes to be successful, but you can do that if you have the education. And that, like I said, that's something that no one can take away from you. And I think look at the name of your school. I mean, you can be president of the United States. You can really do anything you want if you work hard, you get your education, and really you believe in yourself. And we'll kind of come back to that. And so I went to St. Mark's. I was very fortunate to go to school like that. I was always interested in, I'd say, math, economics, but I love sports. I played a lot of soccer growing up, played a lot of basketball. That was really my first love in terms of sports, and played 2-guard all the way through high school. And we weren't as good as St. Mark's has gotten over the years with some of these guys like Harrison Ingram and some of these other big 5-star recruits. But I was pretty good, but I wasn't going to make a living playing basketball. I'm only 6 feet. I'm not 6'7". So that wasn't going to happen. And so after graduating, I went off to college in Atlanta. I went to Emory University and studied economics. And one of the things I love about your school is I actually had a chance to join a fraternity too. Alpha Phi Alpha is the first oldest, Black fraternity in the U.S. And it's still an important part of my life. Made some lifelong friends. And I'll tell you about college. You study hard, but it's a fun time of your life. It's okay to have fun. So it's something to look forward to as some of you are getting closer to making that decision to go to college. And so while I was in college, I knew nothing about what I do today. And I'll tell you what I do in a second, but I didn't know anything about what I wanted to do with my life. I knew I liked economics. I knew I liked math, but my mom was a nurse. My dad was a doctor. I didn't know anything about business or anything like that. And I actually ended up having a conversation with my mom when I was a sophomore. And she actually asked, was I going to get a real job the next summer? I'd been coaching, sports camps when I came back to Dallas and stuff like that. And I thought that was, all I needed to do. And she's like, well, no, you should go, maybe try to get an internship or something like that. And and I went to the Career Center, and I met this woman who gave me this application, and I'd never thought about working in New York or on Wall Street, but I ended up applying to this program that helped put minorities, people of color on Wall Street in internships. And so I ended up applying. I got into this internship, and then summer of '98, I was living in New York and really loved what I was doing. And here we are 24 years later. I'm still up here. But maybe the most important lesson of the day is listen to your mom. That's maybe the most important lesson that I would say today. They usually are right, and they usually know what they're talking about. And so what do I do today? I'm a partner at a firm called KKR. It's an investment firm. And I didn't know what an investment firm was when I was your age, but you think about it, every company provides a service or sells something, and every business has customers. And so like Clorox makes bleach, and McDonald's makes hamburgers, and your barber cuts your hair. Like that's, what any business is. And so what we do here is we provide investing services for people with savings. And so maybe to bring that home, a lot of them are actually people in this room. Every teacher in Texas, gets a pension in retirement, after a number of years of service. So teachers in DISD put money into a fund managed by Texas Teachers Retirement System, for example. And the system then makes investments so that money grows. And then when some of those teachers are ready to retire, they get paid a pension from that system. And to get that money to grow, they need people to help them invest in stocks and bonds and things like real estate. And what I do is I invest in real estate. And one of our largest customers is Texas Teachers, which we manage a lot of the money in real estate. So the way I think about it is I work for teachers in Texas. I work for teachers in Missouri, Illinois, New York, and other states. And what we do is we buy like warehouses, apartments, office buildings, hotels. But our company really works for teachers. We work for teachers in your classroom, like I said, police officers, firemen and women, and other public servants. And so I work for my aunt, who's a retired New York City teacher. You get it. That's what we do here. And so the relationship we have with Texas Teachers is called being a fiduciary. And so most of the money, like I mentioned, comes from these pension funds. But our people's retirement depends on, what we do and whether we do a good job. So it's a job that I'm proud of because I'm proud of what the people that we benefit do for a living, the teachers and the public servants, and my aunt and Rashad and all your teachers. So it's that's what we do every day in terms of what I do for a living. And so let's talk about you guys. You guys have your entire lives ahead of you. One of the things I wanted to do is kind of give you some of the lessons that I've learned and maybe leave you with some advice. So I say, number one, you just want to work hard. You want to be intellectually curious. You've got all this opportunity ahead of you guys, and focus on learning, not just for getting grades, but for but really to learn and really understand, things that are happening around you. And, you got the internet and all these things that, Rashad and I didn't have growing up. We had to look things up in encyclopedias, but you guys can learn a lot about what's happening around you, ask good questions. And then when you start thinking about going to college, that's what's going to really help you to get your first job. This leads to your next job and really set you up for a lifetime of success. I say the other thing is protect your reputation. That it takes a lifetime to develop a reputation. It takes seconds to destroy one. So think about your reputation and your word and your integrity is really your calling card in life. And, they used to say early in my career, whatever you said or put in an email, think about how that would look on the front page of a newspaper. And so you guys are growing up in a world of social media and camera phones and, TikTok and all this stuff. And Rashad and I didn't live in that world. So be careful what you put on Twitter, be careful what you put on Instagram, be careful what you let people tape you doing or saying. Your reputation really matters. And in this digital world, it's kind of permanent. I'd say the other thing is a lot of people are here to help you. the world has a lot of people out there that are willing to help. You just have to go find them and ask for them. Just like I told you about the internship I got, I would have never found that if I didn't walk into, that lady's office, but she was sitting there, and all I had to do is walk in. And there are scholarships out there. There are a lot of nonprofits that provide internships, but you just have to ask your teachers, ask your guidance counselors, ask your principals, ask your, whoever it is that you trust. Look on the internet, talk to your friends, but there are a lot of people out there willing to help you in this journey, and you're not alone. I'd say, listen, whether you play sports or not, learn how to be a good teammate. And so what does that mean? I played a lot of team sports, and when you get into the workplace, you'll be on teams, big teams, small teams, but learn how to help your teammates, learn how to, help your friends when they're down, and admit when you make a mistake, prove that you're coachable, have a positive attitude. Teams win because everyone does their part, but you want to be the type of guy that everyone wants on their team. And that becomes more important as you get kind of further on to life. It is something, some of you might be experiencing if you're, playing athletics today. Find something you're passionate about. Everyone has something they love. It's, what excites you? Do you like math? Is it science? Is it computers? Is it writing, teaching, fitness? It could be anything, but find something that you really love and are, and if you're good at it, that's great. That's then you found something you can do hopefully for the rest of your life. And I always like to joke around. You have to find something you're good at too, though. I love playing basketball, but no one was ever gonna, pay me to do it for a living. So I had to find something else to do. So here I am. But I'd say the other part, take some risks. There'll be a day when you have to take a risk or do something that's new or outside your comfort zone. It could be moving to a new city. It could be moving far away from home, or switching jobs or careers, or switching majors in college. It's okay to try something different. Sometimes those things that feel most uncomfortable are the things that you'll probably have the greatest impact on your life. They've definitely been in mine. I don't know if you ever watch The Last Dance. That's the thing about Michael Jordan on ESPN. And so a lot of you guys, didn't even watch Jordan. I realize that you think LeBron's the best basketball player ever, but it's really Michael Jordan. But you have to have this Michael Jordan mindset. He always said, why would you think about missing a shot you haven't taken yet? That's the attitude. You're gonna miss shots. We're all gonna miss shots, but you've got to take the shot. You can't make a shot if you didn't take it in the first place. So I'd say another one, just as I've gotten older, take care of your body. You only get one of them. Take care of your health. Work out, watch what you eat and drink, don't do drugs, get enough sleep. A lot of things you do in your first 30 years of life will affect the rest of your life. So I'm not telling you never to eat a donut or a piece of cake, but you know what I mean? Take care of yourself. Listen, I love the school you guys are at. I say lean on your friends, lean on your brothers here. You're going to need people to get through life. Friends provide advice. They pick you up when you're down. You pick others up when you're down. But it helps put things in perspective too. They may help you find a job one day. You stay in touch with positive people in your life. It's easier to stay in touch now than it was a long time ago. So, once you go off to college or move to another city, stay in touch with, the people in this room. These are going to be people that you're going to have lifelong friends. I mean, I have a lot of friends I met when I was, 5, 6 years old that I'm, almost 44 years old now. And I think that's something, you don't want to forget. And then, remember to always help others, reach back. You're going to move up the ladder. You guys are going to, have success doing things. And if you have some success in your life, don't be satisfied or get self-absorbed and, look what I've done, me. You start thinking about how can you help others? How can you, reach back and make sure that you might be the first person to get somewhere, but make sure you're not the last. And your path may have been, hard, but how can you make the next generation's path a little easier? You guys are going to be role models for a lot of people in the future. Don't forget that. And I'd say the last thing is just have a positive attitude. Some of the best things that have happened to me are when the world around was pretty bleak. I was working like 5 blocks away from when the planes hit, in 9/11, and Rashad lived up here at that time, and that could have been a time to just pack up and leave. And But I actually met my boss, who I work for today, 2 months after 9/11. And if I'd left, I wouldn't have met him. And then the financial crisis hit in 2008. That was a tough time. I could have left him, but I met my wife next year or that year. And then look what happened, and now we have, 12 years of marriage, 2 wonderful kids. Like, there's always the other side of that. And so, listen, I'm gonna keep it real with you guys. It's not all roses out there. You're gonna have bad days. I've had them. I've failed. I've screwed up. I've missed shots. I've struck out. I've let people down. I've experienced racism. You're gonna have these days where you're gonna have bad ones. But the reason I tell you that is because you're gonna have a lot more good days than bad days. But it's really how you deal with the bad days that are the true test of character. And it's how you bounce back. And that's why I was saying before, it's about your attitude, about having friends, about having people to rely on. And it's really believing that you're going to have many more good days than bad days, which I'm telling you, you're going to have. And so I'm a glass half full kind of guy. And there's a quote that I love, by the late Earl Graves Sr. He founded Black Enterprise Magazine. And he said, the glass is never half empty. It's either full or ready for a refill. And so, listen, it's Black History Month. A couple weeks ago, my 83-year-old dad was speaking to the first grade class of my son's school, here in New York he was at the March on Washington and heard Dr. King's speech live back in DC. He was, about to start, medical school at Howard. And, someone asked how he felt after that speech. And he said, listen, it made him feel energized and like he could do anything he wanted to do. And so I'm just here to tell you, I think if you guys work hard, you stick together, you have a positive attitude, you help each other, help others in your community, you can do anything you want to do. And each and every one of you have the ability to make an impact on the world and the world around you. And so I'm proud of you guys. Rashad, thanks for having me today. And good luck. I'm happy to take any questions.
Hey, Chris, thank you for sharing that. I hope y'all able to see all of the things that Chris was saying, how it aligns with the things we talk about here every day. I mean, these things aren't going to be something that you've never heard before, but it's so important to hear it from different perspectives. And I wouldn't put anybody in front of you all who I had any doubt was going to be positive and impactful. So me and Chris were over each other's houses. We would spend the night when we were young. When I went to New York, Chris was already up there. We not lost touch, but I went to a different school in the 8th grade. Chris stayed at St. Mark's, but we, kept in touch. We would fool around, act, have a good time in class, but we were always smart. They wouldn't have put African American students at that school who weren't, double prepared and weren't, that weren't able to meet the challenges. So you all are here because you've met some specific criteria, and just like Chris said, you all can do it. It's not going to be easy, but you all can do it. We talked about this morning, the audacity to hope, and all that your parents put into you. Listen to your mom, just like Chris said. I mean, hey, but your mama knows best. She's not gonna lead you astray either. So just always think about these things. So let's open it up. And Chris, I know I mentioned last night I had some yearbook pictures. My yearbooks are right back there. We could share those later. You can see we're always on the same page. Like 4 or 5 pictures apart because there's Jackson and Lee. But we were always on the same page. So I will definitely share those with you all soon so that y'all can see that. But let's open it up and hope we have some good questions that you could ask Chris.
Good morning. I got a brother here with a question, Mr. Lee.
Okay.
I'm Brother Simeon Williams, House of Alliance, 6th grade. And my question was, how do you feel when you're doing real estate agents?
So how do I feel when we're doing real estate deals?
Yeah, are you nervous in the moment or do you just feel normal?
Yeah, that's a good question. Listen, I would say most things in life, even if you've done them a lot of times, you're going to get a little bit nervous, and that's okay. It's normal. I think the guys playing in the Super Bowl this week, they've been playing football their whole lives, but I'm sure they're nervous because you're out there competing. But there's the nervousness, and then you balance that with the calm of you've done it before, you're prepared, and you balance it out. So that feeling is a very normal feeling to feel, and I feel it before we do a big deal or something like that. And but you balance it out with that I'm prepared and I should be here. That's a great question.
Mr. Shatoni said he wanted an embarrassing Mr. Jackson story. I'm sure there's lots of those out there, but we'll table those for right now. And
Mr. Lee, I got another student here if you don't mind.
Okay.
My name is Maurice Hooker, House of Decree, 6th grade. And I want to know, like, what type of houses do you sell? Like modern houses or like mansions? Like, what type of house?
So I couldn't hear all of that. Did you guys hear it better than me, Rashad?
I want to know what type of houses do you sell? Like modern houses, mansions?
Oh, yeah. We buy mostly commercial real estate. So commercial real estate is like we own apartments, so people live in our apartments. We own office buildings that people work in every day, warehouses where people work, and when they're, and someone's delivering a package at your door, they're bringing it from the warehouse. So that's the type of stuff we own. We don't actually own a lot of like single family houses where people live. But we own a lot of apartments where people live, and we own them all over the country. We own apartments in Dallas. We own apartments in Miami, Atlanta, Brooklyn. We own apartments all over the country.
So in other words, big top dollar stuff, not the small beans. So that's what you all are invested in. Brother Marcos wanted to know, how do you deal with the bad days? Brother Marcos Vasquez.
Yep. Listen, that's a good question. I would say there are two things. Number one, you need people in your life that you can talk to. And so I've got a great wife, very supportive. I talk to my brother. I've got my brothers from my fraternity. I've got friends I grew up with. And sometimes, depending on what you need, you just need someone to tell you, it's going to be good. It's going to be okay. You're going to have mentors, people in your life that you can talk to. And then it's also, you think about the good days, because once you have a bad day, it's like you lose a basketball game. You think about all the games you've won. And then once you're over that period of thinking about the hurt of having a bad day or a loss or whatever, you think about what you can learn from it, because then there's usually something you can learn from it that you can apply to, down the road in life. So that's what I'd say. It's going to hurt, and then you reflect on it, and then you use it as a way to get better, improve.
All right, Chris. I know you said you had to go, but we're not rushing you at all.
No. I'm good. I'm good.
All right. Are there any other questions, y'all? Any comments you have for Mr. Lee? I know we have seniors that are applying and have, lots have already been accepted to colleges, and they're getting lots of scholarships. You brothers have any questions?
No questions from the they know it all. They're ready to go.
Yeah, for the most part. Yeah, for the most part they do. And then that's the thing. When you go to college or freshman year, sophomore year, you're gonna have lots of opportunities to do the the wrong thing. Lots of opportunities to make bad choices, and there'll be people pulling you this direction, pulling you that direction. But if you have a good idea of where you want to go, or at least know that, hey, I need to ask someone if I don't know, and if I'm not sure, just really sure about it, make sure you ask someone. You can always go back to those people that you can lean on. You have a network here at this school when you leave, and you also, of course, have your family. You can reach out to those people and say, hey, I'm in this situation, and what do I do? I think one of the stories I tell a lot is I didn't even know about dropping classes my first semester. If I would have known that, I would have certainly had a higher GPA when I graduated. But now I know, after the fact. So that's something that just talking to people, instead of taking that C, first of all, don't put yourself where you're getting a C. That's the best thing. But if you are in that situation where you've made some bad choices and you're looking at a C, drop that class before you have that C permanently staying on your record. And so, Mr. Wood.
Yeah, I saw that. I see a question here. Yeah. One thing before I answer this question on college, I would say a lot of the mistakes people made, like Rashad said, are in that freshman year. And so when you get there, if you're a science major, don't take, all the lab sciences your first semester and calculus and all that stuff. Spread it out. Definitely talk to people, understand you got 4 years to get through a major, but some people overload it. And college is an adjustment period. And so you want to take time to, get your surroundings, take some classes that you're already comfortable in. But that's important to get off to a good start. And there are a lot of people there to help. And so make sure you know who the counselors are and meet some people in, classes or years ahead of you and stuff. But I think that's very good advice. And so, Mr. Wood here, what should students major in? So I would say what we're generally looking for is, people who are just analytical thinkers. And so we've had people here who are history majors, English majors, of course, economics, business school as well. But you can do this majoring in anything. I think the most important thing is that you do have a good background in math, math and, economics, those types of classes, but you don't have to major in those. You could be, like I said, an English major, and if you've taken some math along the way, but you know how to think, then you can, be a good investor. Because investing is a lot of it's about really just understanding your surroundings and then having the analytical tools. So I would just tell any of you who want to do something like this, just make sure you're, studying hard in the math classes and just observing everything around you. And I think you'll do well.
Right. And Mr. Shatoni also said you can retake those courses to replace the C with the higher grade. Yeah, and I think I knew a little bit about that, after the fact, but I don't know if they averaged it or, I think each university or college is different. But absolutely, there's a lot of little secrets that are out there that you don't know unless you ask about.
Yep, you gotta ask.
Good morning, Mr. Lee. Ms. Garrett, assistant principal. Can you explain to the students the difference between working for an investment company versus being the actual investor and owner of the properties? Can you explain that to the students? So if they wanted to take a different route and actually purchase their own investment properties, how are those routes different, and how do those paths kind of go? What's the difference?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the nice things about real estate. You could own, a 2-family house and be a landlord and manage the property yourself. And a lot of people in real estate are their own entrepreneurs, and they own one property. They then, buy another property, and then they end up, owning several properties in an area. Or you can do what we do, where we manage, money on behalf of these big institutions like a Texas Teachers, and then we buy the real estate through, these vehicles, and we try to, earn a return for those investors. So there's kind of everything in between buying your own house down the street and then renting it out to someone, and then owning, big buildings where hundreds of people and families might live. But I think the fundamental part of it is the same, though. You have to understand what are the right locations. You have to understand, how to borrow money, how to look at a financial statement. So it's really no different buying a house down the street and renting it out to one person than buying an entire apartment complex and renting it out to 500 people. It's the same idea, but it's one's just bigger. And so I think that's the nice thing about it, is anyone in this room could be a landlord one day if they want to, and own real estate. And I think that's the exciting part about it.
Thank you. One last question. Of all the properties that you all you acquire, you manage for Texas teachers and these big corporations, are any of these properties participating in affordable housing programs for United States affordable housing programs?
Yeah, absolutely. We have, a few thousand units of affordable housing that are in our properties, and we believe in affordable housing is a huge part of the it's a problem in the United States. And so in I'll give you an example. In our portfolio in Brooklyn, or the one that we own in Boston, we have 20 to 30% of the units are affordable, for people that make below the median income, whatever that is in those cities or those neighborhoods. And so we're big sponsors of affordable housing in our in what we do in managing our portfolio. And then in addition to that, we want to be we want to help women-owned businesses, minority-owned businesses. So we have responsible contracting policy. So a lot of what we do is we have a job investing this money for all the different plans out there. But then it's also, how do we make the world a better place through our ownership? And we're always thinking about how to improve that, every day. But it's, we have a responsibility because we have a lot of people that live in our properties. We are an owner in the communities. We have a lot of people that own businesses that contract with our properties. And then I'd say the last thing is, we think about it also from a climate perspective. We want to make our buildings energy efficient and, sustainable, so that, 30, 40, 50 years from now, we're all, living in a world that, that has less emissions. So I'm actually glad you asked that question, because it's very important to us to be, good stewards of these assets, but also good members of the communities that we operate assets in as well.
Thank you very much. That definitely aligns to what we do here. We talk about, serving our community. Those are all things that are important. You can't just, be a slumlord and run people into the ground. So that's wonderful that you said that you asked that question, Ms. Garrett. Right, Joel. What other questions do we have for Chris while we're here? I can remember in middle school, I had speakers come talk to me saying the same things, you all. But if you can take away some of this, is at least one thing, that's the whole reason we, as part of our core values, this exposure, just being exposed to people who've been there and done that. Your teachers tell you all the time, your parents tell you, but as many different perspectives telling you the same thing. Hopefully that one time, that one sticks. If they haven't made it through the 25 times before, maybe today's going to be the time where I say, oh, okay. That's why it's important. So we really appreciate you coming, Chris. I know last year you were scheduled to come, but then we had the snowstorm where the whole school shut down for a week. So
well, I'm glad. Hopefully next time I get to come in person, because I'd love to see the school and meet everyone in person. So maybe next year or the year after I get to come in person.
Okay. Well, that sounds really good. You know, if there's, we always ask if there's any brother who has a question, wants to reach out to you. Is it okay if we share your contact information that you want them to share? They can
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. Well, just send it to me so that I know which one. I'm not going to send them your cell phone number, but like that. Okay. All right, you all. Well, thank you very much for sharing with us and zooming on in. And we look forward to another opportunity for you to speak with the brothers.
All right. Well, thank you, and good luck to everyone, and for everyone who's going off to college this year. Best of luck. But thanks for having me today, and enjoy the rest of the week.
All right, you too. Thank you, Chris.
All right. Thanks, Rashad.
Yes, sir. Okay. All right, y'all. We really, I'm happy for the questions. Like I said, I will show you those pictures. Got them all queued up here. But for right now, I'm actually in a meeting over here from 8:30 until 2:30. But let's turn it on over to Mr. Wood or the announcements.
All right. Yeah. Good morning. Hopefully I don't have any feedback because I got the class TV going right now. But we're going to start off with a presentation by Brother Diego Cervantes. And he actually is presenting through a video about Robert Guillaume. So I'm going to go ahead and play that for us, and then we'll have another presentation. We should have just enough time.
My name is Brother Diego Cervantes, and today I'll be doing my presentation on Robert Guillaume. Born November 30th, 1927, he was a very talented young man who had a very promising singing career.
Holy night, the stars are brightly shining. It is the night of the dear Savior's birth. Long lay the world in sin and error pining, till he appeared and the soul felt its worth.
But sadly, he got expelled from high school and attended the military from 1945 to 1947. He returned to finish his education, thankfully, and went to work odd jobs. He then won a scholarship to a university in Colorado, where he found his love for theater. He toured with people he met going around the world on tour doing shows. He went touring from 1959 to 1976. He somewhat made a name for himself and made his first television appearance in 1968 on the show Julia.
Appearance on television was in the show Julia with Diane Carroll. I believe that was my first. Outside of a few things I had done in New York, I'd done some PBS. I'd done a couple of things with them. And but I did a show in I did Julia in Julia.
From there, he became part of an award-winning sitcom called Soap in 1979, which made a spin-off called Benson that ran from 1979 to 1986.
Benson, you must have ESP. I was just thinking about you.
ESP, Governor, you sent for me.
From there, he appeared on The Robert Guillaume Show in 1989, a show based on himself due to his popularity.
The Robert Guillaume Show premieres Monday on CTV.
He went on to have a bountiful career from there, appearing in many shows, video games, and films. He suffered a stroke while filming an episode for Sports Tonight, but thankfully survived. Sadly, he passed away on October 24th, 2017.
All right, so thank you to Brother Diego Cervantes. Unfortunately, he's not on the Zoom, so we can't ask him any questions. But we do have our next presenter ready to go, and that is Brother Josue Flores. So Brother Josue Flores, you are good to go.
Okay, hello. This is this is my presentation about Doris Miller. Okay, so who was Doris Miller? He was the first ever Black person to be awarded the Navy Cross. Doris Miller joined the U.S. Navy as a mess attendant, but then advanced to a cook. He became a heavyweight boxing champion in his the career as a U.S. Navy. His early life. Doris Miller was born October 12, 1919 in Waco, Texas. He played fullback on a football team when he was attending Moore High School and worked at his dad's farm before he enlisted in the U.S. Navy. His achievements. On the day of the Pearl Harbor attack, while he was helping some wounded sailors and his captain to safety, he mounted a 50 caliber Browning machine gun to protect the ship from Jap planes until they were Japanese. What? Until they were given the order to abandon ship. He was given the Navy Cross for his bravery. His memorial. The Navy commissioned a frigate named the USS Miller in his honor after he died when the ship he was on sank to a torpedo. That's it.
All right, thank you very much, Brother Josue. Do we have any questions for Brother Josue about Dory Miller? All right, if there are no questions, then we do have one more presentation, and that's going to be Brother Darian Sanders. And so make sure he can share.
He has it now, Mr. Wood.
All right. Hello, I'm Brother Darian Sanders, and my topic is war on drugs. Okay. So the beginning. And so in the beginning, the war on drugs was first started as a campaign to help, of course, limit the drug use in America. Many politicians saw it as a huge problem, and vastly it was pressured into being an overstatement for something else. The war on drugs actually ended up many people tying it back to racial issues. And even then, not only just Black people were involved, but it was a campaign pushed against hippies as well because of their use of drugs as well. So in some countries, And some states' laws to ban or regulate drugs were passed in the 1880s, and the first congressional act to levy taxes on morphine and opium took place in 1890. This was almost a setting point or the first stone laid down before the war on drugs was officially taken. Then we had, let's get off. There was also in previous laws and of course regulations where we talked about alcohol being banned as well. In 1914, Congress passed the Harrison Act, and that regulated tax on production, importation, and distribution of opiates and cocaine. And then right afterwards, we had the marijuana tax of 1937, and then the Controlled Substance Act, which was essentially a categorization of a level of drugs that there were. So if a drug was labeled as a Schedule I drug, then it was considered a very illegal drug compared to a Schedule III that could be used for medical attention. And so Nixon declares war on drugs. In June 1971, Nixon officially declares a war on drugs, stating that drug abuse was public enemy #1. Does it show my video? Okay. And so from Nixon's presidential cabinet, his policy chief, John Ehrlichman, he initially stated that they really couldn't make it illegal to be against the war on blacks, or by getting to the public to associate that hippies with marijuana, blacks with heroin, and then criminalizing them both heavily. That was the goal of the war on drugs. It was essentially seeming to be a cover for a different purpose that was to essentially just be able to criminalize those who society deemed as not one. They took on the majority, and they allowed the majority to be able to have power to limit those, such as Black people or hippies, those who were uncategorized as a American, essentially. And so this is Nixon here celebrating his campaign, while over here you can actually see the picture of the hippies, and they're supporting the movement to stop the war. And down here at the bottom, you see a police arresting Black people. One interesting fact about this was any type of evidence, and it could be the smallest thing. They can try to smell the drug on you. They could try to see that, oh, there's some type of powder. It could be chalk. Whatever it was, any type of evidence that they could find, they would use that to conduct raids, illegal searches, and they will seize your property, your cars, your money, whatever it took. And the police, they could take that and abuse that. Some police took over houses and ended up living in them. Some police took your money and they just kept it in your pocket. Nixon went on to create the Drug Enforcement Administration, the DEA, in 1973. The DEA started off with 1,470 special agents and the budget less than 75. And today, there's like 5,000 agents and a budget of $2 billion, which is a lot. And one thing about Nixon, when he talked about that the war on drugs was the #1 problem of society, there was a lot really going on. Culture change was in a struggle. There was economic struggles we had, and technological innovation was happening at the time as well. And so while Nixon started the fire, Reagan fuels the flames. Incarceration rates skyrocketed during Ronald Reagan's presidency, surging from 50,000 in 1980 to over 400,000 by 1997. And Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, and Donald Trump made their own damage contributions, escalating the drug war. That's Amelia Hagen from Vera. So President Reagan's refocus on drugs and the passing of severe penalties for drug-related crimes in Congress and the state legislators led to a massive increase in incarceration for nonviolent drug crimes. In 1986, Congress passed the Anti-Drug Abuse Act, which established mandatory minimum prison sentences for certain drug offenses. And so to end up my presentation in 2014, nearly half of the 180,000 people serving time in federal prisons in the US has been incarcerated on drug-related charges. And that is all for my presentation.
All right, thank you very much, Darian. Fantastic presentation. Does anybody have any questions for Darian about the war on drugs? There's some really heavy stuff, good quotes in there. So any questions about the war on drugs for Darian? All right, well, with that, we can turn it back over to you, Mr. Jackson. But we will have more presentations going forward. So those of you who are in my African American Studies course, if you have not yet presented, make sure you refer to the schedule and you're presenting on the date that you are supposed to. So we'll be talking in class today and making sure everybody is very well aware of their presentation date. So thank you guys very much for your attention. And Mr. Jackson, it's all yours.
All right, thank you all very much for those presentations. We really appreciate the opportunity. More exposure, more information, the better we can add that to all of our knowledge so that we can make better choices. All right, you all, are there any announcements? We're about to hit 9:35.
Yes, just one quick announcement. This is Mr. Fernandez, assistant principal. I just want to remind the 8th graders that Thursday you will be taking the NAEP test, and tomorrow during your advisory, I will be issuing your appointments. Okay, and teachers, I will be seeing you for TELPAS security test training on Wednesday at after school. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Fernandez, and also Mr. Atkins, sir.
Yes, I know we need to be heading to 5th period, so I'll make this really short. The visual arts scholastic event was last weekend, and we had several students participating. And I will talk a little bit more about them tomorrow, since we'll have more time tomorrow morning during live stream. However, anybody can come down to the Screaming Eagle Gallery on the 1st floor, and I have all the work that was in the competition, the visual arts scholastic event competition, on exhibit, and you can see what amazing stuff our brothers presented for the Region 10 visual arts scholastic event.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Mr. Atkins, and we look forward to more details tomorrow. Y'all make it a great day.